Okay, so you've put a load of laundry in. You walk away, and when you come back, it's just sitting there, soaking wet, with this mysterious UE error flashing on the screen. It's a super common problem, and today we're going to demystify what it is, and more importantly, how you can fix it. Ugh, right? You know that feeling. The house gets a little too quiet, you go to check on the laundry, and bam, there it is. The cycle has stopped, your clothes are a soggy mess, and the machine is just blinking those two little letters at you. It is so frustrating. But hang on. Before you start Googling new washing machines or calling that expensive repair person, just take a breath. The great news is, this is usually a really easy fix. Seriously, it's something you can probably solve yourself in just a couple of minutes. So, first things first, what even is this UE error? Well, believe it or not, it's not a disaster, it's actually a safety feature. You can think of it as your washer trying to protect itself from causing any damage. UE literally just stands for unbalanced load. See, your washer is actually pretty smart. It can feel when all the wet, heavy clothes have clumped together on one side. If it tried to do a super fast spin cycle like that, oh man, it would shake itself to pieces. So to keep from getting damaged, it wisely just stops. And check this out. This should make you feel a lot better. A whopping 80% of the time, this error is just about how the laundry is loaded. Only about 20% of the time does it point to an actual mechanical issue. So the odds are totally in your favor that this is going to be a quick fix. All right, let's get right into it. We're going to start with what I call the 60-second fixes. These are the super common, super easy things you can try right this second to get that washer spinning again. Okay, step 1, the classic pause and redistribute. It's exactly what it sounds like. Just hit the pause button, pop open the lid, and have a look inside. You'll probably see a giant balled-up sheet or a pair of jeans that have turned into a concrete heavy knot on one side. That's your problem right there. Just untangle it, spread everything out nice and even, and hit start. If that didn't do the trick, let's think about the load itself. Is that drum stuffed to the gills? If it's more than, say, 3/4 full, that's probably too much. Or maybe you're washing only heavy stuff, like a ton of bath towels. Try mixing in some lighter things. And you know how sheets can twist up into one giant heavy burrito? Yeah, just shake them out. Okay, a couple more quick things to check. First, are you using HE or high-efficiency detergent? Regular detergent makes way too many suds, and all that foam can actually mess with the machine's sensors. Also, do a quick scan to see if a little sock or something has gotten wedged between the drum and the wall of the washer. So you've tried the simple stuff, but that pesky error is still popping up. It's time for what I call the decisive test. This is how we're going to figure out once and for all, is the problem your laundry or is it the machine itself? And don't worry, this is super easy. First, take every single thing out of the washer. Yep, everything. Next, just run a spin only or a rinse and spin cycle with the machine completely empty. Then, all you have to do is watch and see what happens. So what happened? If that empty washer ran the spin cycle just fine with no errors, well, congratulations, your machine is totally okay. The problem is definitely how you're loading your clothes. But if it still gave you that UE error, even when it was empty, that tells us we're probably looking at a mechanical issue. Now, if your test points to a mechanical problem, don't panic. We're going to walk through the most common culprits. It's time for a little peek inside the machine's guts. But hold on, before we start taking things apart, let's check the absolute basics. And this is a huge one. Is the washer perfectly level? Grab a level and check it both side to side and front to back. If it's not level, you're pretty much guaranteed to get that UE error. Oh, and if your machine is fairly new, just double check that those big shipping bolts were taken out of the back when it was installed. Okay, this is probably the most important thing I'm going to say in this entire explainer. Before you do anything else, before you even think about poking around inside, please unplug the washer from the wall. I'm serious, safety first. All right, now that it's safely unplugged, here are the main things we're looking for. If you've got a top loader, the usual suspects are these things called suspension rods or maybe a snubber ring. For a front loader, it's almost always the shock absorbers. Sometimes it could be a drive belt or a little sensor, but those are a bit less common. So how do you know which part it is? Well, if you can just push on the drum and it wobbles around really easily, that's probably your suspension rods. If you're hearing a nasty grinding sound, that could be the snubber ring. See any oily stuff leaking out of your front loader? That's a dead giveaway for a bad shock absorber. And if the errors are just totally random, it might be the hall sensor. Okay, so whether you had an easy fix or a more mechanical one, let's wrap this up with some pro tips to make sure this error never ever bothers you again. It's all about washing smarter, not harder. Pro tip number 1 is all about building a solid foundation in your washer. Just think of it like this. Put your heaviest stuff, like your jeans and towels, in the bottom first. Then put all the lighter things, like t-shirts, right on top of them. And pro tip number 2 is for those big, bulky items, like a comforter or a big bath mat. Never wash them all by themselves. Always throw in a couple of smaller things like 2 or 3 towels just to help balance out that big, heavy weight. And finally, pro tip number 3, more soap is not your friend here. Seriously, you only need about 2 tablespoons of that HE detergent max. If you use too much, you get this big cushion of suds and it keeps the clothes from settling down, which, you guessed it, can cause an imbalance error. Now look, sometimes you just have to call in the pros. If you've tried everything and this error just will not quit, or if you're hearing really loud, scary sounds like grinding or banging, it's time to make the call. And for sure, if you see any damage you're not comfortable fixing, or if there's water leaking everywhere, just pick up the phone. So what's the big takeaway here? It's that the UE error is almost always something you can fix. Just remember that 80% number. The vast majority of the time, it all comes down to how you're loading the machine and making sure it's level. You can totally handle this. And that brings us to the end. You've followed the steps, you've done the tests, so what's the final verdict for your washer? Is it just a simple fix in how you do your laundry? Or is it time for a little deeper dive into the machine? Either way, you now know exactly how to find out.